Okay, so I'm zoomed out. You can see the different scaled size points that represent their magnitudes. But in order to make this symbology stick, we have to hit OK and then hit done. Now I'm going to try to do something else here and combine two symbologies at the same time. That would be the magnitude and the depth. So this is kind of fun, showing depth and magnitude at the same time. Let's go to Symbology. We already have magnitude in pink, but now you're going to add an attribute. Now you're going to have depth and magnitude. And it automatically updated, but let's make sure that this makes sense. We have the magnitude is dark, and so larger magnitude is dark in color and lower magnitude is light in color, and that makes some sense. But now depth is the size of the circle, and it just makes more sense to have the size of the circle represent the magnitude of the earthquake. So go up here and hit that little flipper icon, and now this dark circle here is large, and that represents the magnitude 7.2, and the color is representing the depth. So what do you notice? That this very large earthquake is pretty deep. But you have other other earthquakes that are large and they're not deep. So we may or may not have a meaningful pattern here, but you can see that there's a lot of variability in the depths and magnitudes of these earthquakes. Okay, so it's looking like a more interesting picture now. All right, now to make all of this stick, we hit done. And then to see our legend, we can click that. And if we zoom out for the whole state of Oklahoma, maybe like that. Now we go up here and once again make up a spatial bookmark. I'm just going to call it Oklahoma earthquakes. And there we go. So if we were to move around, once again, you can come back to those earthquakes. Okay? Looks pretty cool. Okay, so now let's try the next skill, which is filtering the data. Right now we see a lot of dots here. So why don't we filter it so we can just see the largest earthquakes? So you come over here to this icon that looks like a piece of paper with a funnel on it, and we're going to filter. Change this field identifier to magnitude, mag. Change it to is greater than, and I forget what it was, but let's just try 3. Let's see, try to click unique. Here we go, yeah, by clicking unique, let's see if we can choose 3. And then it says apply filter. I'm not going to, we can do zoom too, but let's not do that because it will. Okay. So now you notice that almost all the dots are larger. The smaller ones are gone. Now we can also filter this by depth. Let's try that. Go back over here. Hit filter. Edit. And we'll see how this looks. I'm wondering if it'll keep this filter. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can have it keep this filter by hitting add expression. See, and now we're stacking them together. So we're going to keep the greater than 3 filter result. And on top of that, we're going to filter the depth is greater than Choose unique value. All right, there's too many values to display. Too many fields. Well, let's just try something. I don't know what these values mean. That's what the problem is. These could be meters or they could be kilometers. And this is a good example of when we probably should look at the data first and see what the units are in. But let's put in here a 5. See what happens. Interesting. So it worked. Greater than 5. I'm sorry. We have kept the earthquakes that are greater than 5, whatever this is. And I'm going to show you, this is a good opportunity. This is a teachable moment. Wow, that's a big one right there. So let's click on the table. And let's find the depth. Okay, here's the depth. But it's still not showing us what this means. I'm going to guess it's kilometers. And the reason I'm using that is because I'm pretty sure the U.S. Geological Survey that collects this data provides the data in kilometers. But this is still something that we should be more thorough about. So maybe what we should do, click on the 3 dots and look at Show Item Details. Yay, it's the USGS. So we know the data is good. But let's see what they tell us about the data. Earthquake data, Oklahoma. Not finding anything there yet. Description. The data was downloaded from the USGS earthquake catalog. Oh, it took me to the website. And let's see if I can find out what it is. The minimum depth. Well, I'm killing too much time here. But I'm pretty certain that it's kilometers. But if we really wanted to know, this is where we would find out. And we'd have to dig around and look at and find information about how they record their earthquakes and what units. Okay? So just so you know, you can really get back to the source. I've used this website many times to get data for specific places that I wanted to study. Close that. Go back to our map. Go back to this map. Okay, so that's not bad. Okay, for your last trick, go to Add, search for layers, type Virginia earthquakes. Hit enter, return, add the Virginia earthquakes, and we're going to change this a little bit. Let's find something. What happened? Let's turn off these notations. Turning off everything. There we go. Except for the red dots. Yeah. So we just want the earthquake epicenters. They're already symbolized, but I'm going to ask you to filter them. And I'd like you to show me earthquakes with a magnitude of over 4.0. Okay? Do that on your own. When you're finished, your map should look like this. Okay? Now the last thing you're going to do is we're going to save this map and we're going to change it. We're going to make it a save as, because we're starting out with the map that we started with. How far have you traveled? And that's not really what this map is about anymore. So let's go File, or I'm sorry, Save here in the middle of the map at the top, not File. Click Save As. And we're going to change the name. It said it's a copy, so we're going to change the name entirely. And we're just going to call it Fun with Earthquakes. Get rid of this How Far Have You Traveled tag and call it Earthquakes. And when it says it's a student icebreaker, let's change that instead to be more accurate. And we'll call it ArcGIS Online Basic Skills. And I'm saving it in a folder called JPRUIS GSS, Geospatial Semester. But you could, and I have other folders too. I think I'm just going to put it in my first quarter folder. You can make a first quarter folder. If you don't know how to do that, don't worry. Just save it. I'll show you how to organize your files later. And now it's saved and it has a new map, Fun with Earthquakes. And there we go. Now let's do one last thing. After you have saved it, I want you to go up to the top here where it says Home on the left side. I want you to click Content. It should be easy for you to find this since it's your first map. But you should be able to, you should see your map in your list here of things that you've made, which is not much. I'll go into my first quarter folder because that's where I put it, and there's Fun with Earthquakes. And I can click on that and it will open back up. Okay? And we're going to stop there because that is all the skills. Those are all the skills that Catherine would like you to have before she shows up for the first visit. Hope that was fun.